and namaste to all of you. This is Dr. Hemant Bhargav, Assistant Professor of Integrative Medicine at the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, Bengaluru. As we are all aware that India is hosting G20 Summit in 2023, and one important aspect of G20 is Y20. Y20 aims at bringing youth across the globe together on a single platform. One of the important issues related to youth today is youth mental health. Considering rising prevalence of anxiety, depression, suicide in youth, it is very important to discuss about what is needed to enhance mental health of the youth. For this, we have none other than Ms. Prajakta Koli for an interview on this issue. Ms. Prajakta Koli needs no introduction. She is a famous Indian YouTuber and actress. Her popular channel, Mostly Sane, is known to all. Ms. Prajakta Koli is a youth icon, and it is very important to understand her perspective on the mental health aspect of the youth. For this, we also have Dr. Astha, who is a budding psychiatrist at NIMHANS, to interview her. Dr. Astha is a final year MD psychiatry student at NIMHANS. And now I take this privilege on behalf of NIMHANS to welcome Ms. Prajakta Koli and Dr. Astha.
Hi, Prajakta.
Hi, Astha.
Hi, myself, Dr. Astha. And it's a great pleasure to welcome you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Honestly, every time there's a situation like this, I always feel very out of place because I'm very nervous. Everyone around is so smart, but I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
No, I don't think so. I think you are underestimating yourself right now. And, it's not like you need introduction, but otherwise also, started your journey on YouTube, moved to OTT platform, movies, and you have a great fan following. You have represented India internationally in multiple conferences and you have made India so much proud.
Thank
I
you.
actually started following you when I was in second year of my med school. And I've seen you grow. So your success feels very personal because I've seen you become bigger.
That is such a sweet thing for you to say. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And today we are here to talk about mental health, which is a topic I think is close to both of our hearts.
Very close. Yes, that's true.
So I think I'll start with the first question if it's okay with you.
Yeah.
So, usually mental health has different interpretation according to different people. Some people think it is pervasive happiness. Some people think it is complete absence of sadness. What is mental health for you?
I think mental health for me is awareness. As long as I'm aware about what I'm feeling or what my thoughts are, and I am, and that has been a much bigger lesson for me. And I was exactly like that because you're studying it. So you will have a more deeper clinical approach towards every thought that comes to your mind or every feeling that you feel is alien for you. But for someone like me who's regular, who does not have that kind of insight into it, in the beginning, for me, mental health was always that. My mental health was that, if you're not mentally healthy, then you're sad. If you're mentally healthy means there is absolutely no sadness. It took me a couple of goes to realize that for me, I know I'm mentally healthy when I am okay with A, being aware of what I'm feeling, and B, letting myself feel that. I genuinely believe that it is as important for me to feel sadness and loss and anger and I don't know, other emotions and love and as much as I need to feel joy and happiness and jealousy. And I just feel like when it's a whole experience is what will make me human. I can't only live on one side of the road. So for me, I think mental health is awareness of being constantly aware and alert about what you're feeling and letting yourself feel that.
I think that is a very good answer. And that is something, we always tell our patients, it's not bad to feel sad. It's okay to feel sad, accept it, and then understand how to handle your emotions better.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I feel like we should feel all emotions. No, it'll be very boring if we just like this at all times. It's going to get very monotonous.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, another question, and might not be that serious. but why is your handle mostly sane? The world wants to know.
Oh God. I
Yeah.
really wish I had a good answer for this year, because I get this question so many times and I really don't have an answer. I honestly don't have a reason why it's called Mostly Sane. The only reason it's called Mostly Sane is because I didn't want it to be called Prajakta Koli, because through my school and college, my name has been butchered because it's a longer name. Prajakta Koli is a long name. So I was like, I don't want it to get butchered on the internet. Is why I was like, okay, I want to do a completely different situation. And at that point, I mean, if I'd started the channel now, I would have probably just called it Prajakta Koli, but I was also much younger. And at that time, it was the time of fun Google addresses, fun Instagram names, like keep it mysterious.
Yeah.
So that's how it started.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, another thing, it's very easy to talk about mental health, but also there are certain rituals that we do daily that ensures that we stay in a good space. So,
Yeah.
what are these rituals for you if you would like to share with everybody here?
Uh, the number one ritual has to be saying my gratitude and affirmation as my feet touch the ground when I get up and get off the bed. Um, I have also practiced and gotten to a point where now it's just become subconscious, or it's just become more habitual. But I've worked very hard to not wake up and scroll through my phone in bed while I'm lying down. So waking up, getting off the bed immediately, the first thing has to be my affirmations or my gratitude when I put my foot down. Making my bed is extremely important. Sometimes I will not realize what's troubling me or what it is that I'm not feeling well about till I come to my room and I'm like, oh, I haven't made my bed. Because that first feeling of accomplishment in the morning that my day has started, I've been productive, is very important for my mental health. Working out is super important. I have realized that as much as it benefits my body, I feel for me it's more of a mental exercise, because on days when I work out, I'm happier, I'm more productive, I have better ideas, I'm more creative, I'm a nicer person. The serotonin bathes me in niceness. So working out is good. I think time and again shuffling between two things: A, sharing, talking, putting it out, and B, not talking about everything, keeping things to myself, processing it for me, talking to myself, journaling about it. I think these two things. And food. I think food is a huge part of my mental happiness. Every now and then I'll be like, what is it? What is my life not giving me? Why am I not feeling great? And then I'll call for like something nice, and I'll be like, oh, this is great. This is all it needed
So,
to
for
fix
our cake to
my
the
life
rest.
problems. Yeah.
Yeah.
So little things. Yeah. I mean, I wish I had like one of those very deep, bigger answers for you, but I really don't. I feel like my life is very different every single day, and that's what keeps me at my feet, and that's what I love about my job and my life, that not one day is like another. But when that happens, there are these 2-3 things I need to do to anchor myself to one space, or I'll just float off. So yeah, I think for now these are important for me.
But what you have told, like you said, these are not bigger things, but actually happiness lies in the smaller things only.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't be bungee jumping daily. But
I
these
don't want to. It's not going to bring me any happiness. I'm not into adventure sports at all.
so like the idea is making your bed daily in the morning, the accomplishment you get, that feeling
Yeah.
of happiness every morning.
Yeah.
That's what's important actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very well answered.
Thank you.
So one more question I had, usually the elders have always told us, failure, success, they're part of the life. They're like wheel, they go on and on. But when failure hits, it hits really hard. It brings you to your knees. So I don't know whether you've experienced it ever or not, but if it has ever happened, how have you handled it? Who is your support system?
I experience it every now often. I feel like I've made friends with it now. Like we are roommates. We don't necessarily chill together all the time, but every now and then I see them when I walk past them in the hallway. It's something like that. Honestly, like I said, my job is so different from anything. There's no one way of doing it. So failures are very common. In fact, as I speak to you, I am dealing with failing to meet my deadlines. There were things I was supposed to finish 2 weeks ago, which I haven't been able to. There are things I was supposed to finish last today is a Monday. I'm supposed to finish by Friday, which I haven't been able. So I failed multiple times. It's not that I didn't try. It's not that I never got to do it. I tried and I didn't go through. So I feel like at this point, failures are extremely common for me. And they don't bother me because I've been doing this for more than 8 years now, and one of my biggest lessons so far with being a content creator, being an actor, being a writer, I think has to be the fact that each and every time I have failed, I have come out with more insight and perspective than I have when I succeeded.
Very true.
Like if I got something done through and it was a great success, that's it. That's where the journey stopped for me and I moved on to something else. But if I failed at it, I always came out the other side with better perspective. So I probably wouldn't have delivered as well as I did if I had not failed. Is why I made my peace with it. As a creator, I think creative blocks are extremely common. They used to freak me out a lot where I was like, okay, great, there's a creative block, so I guess I just got to quit my job and like look for something else. But I think over time you learn. I was also very young when I started. I was 21 when I started. I'm going to be 30 in June, which I'm very, very excited about. So these past 8-9 years have been very instrumental when it comes to me understanding who I am as a person. Because till you're 21, you're kind of just stepping on everyone else's, you're leaning over to everyone around you to be a person. Like I always thought that, oh, I like this person, maybe I can be like that person, or I like that person, maybe I should be more like it. So the past 8 years have actually been me growing into my own skin, especially the past 3 years where I've learned how to deal with my mental health, my physical health a little better. I found little tactics and little knacks to tweak every time there's a creative block. Every time I hit a hurdle, I know how to maneuver it a little better than I knew a few years ago. So at this point, I'm not scared of failure. It makes me nervous, yes. It makes me underconfident, yes. It makes me gives me a little bit self-doubt, but I'm not scared of it. I don't fear it. Like so I think it took a long time to reach this place, but I'm very happy to be here.
And I think you very well put it, when you're very young, failure scares you, it terrifies you.
Yeah.
As you grow old, you realize, failure is a part of life. I think that is what the wisdom comes from. You are failing, that means you're trying something new, you are, putting yourself out there. It's a beautiful feeling to have, the growth that comes with it.
Yeah, that's definitely there.
Yeah, so very well put. So one more thing I wanted to ask you, you have been very vocal with your journey with spirituality. If somebody has been following you on YouTube or Instagram, they know your associations. You very nicely endorse meditation and other such practices.
Which I haven't myself only done in so many weeks.
Yeah, that
in all honesty. Sorry.
So yeah, how has spirituality shaped your life? Mental health, physical health?
I think it came to me at a time when my life was in this autopilot mode. I remember it was January of 2020. It was 3 months before the lockdown. And November of 2019 is when I finished shooting my first Netflix show, which was the first season of Mismatched. In December of 2020 is when I had started shooting for my YouTube documentary with Michelle Obama. January was when I was traveling to Australia for a week because I was working there. End of Jan, I was going to be again in the US. I was going to come back, and it was just a whole packed situation where at that point my life was so out of control that I wasn't holding on to any reins. I had absolutely no anchor. Like I was going where I was told to go. I had no thought to it. I wouldn't ever wake up formulating or thinking to myself, okay, what am I doing today? I would literally wake up, get in the shower and leave. And then my life would just take me wherever it was. As fun as that can be, I'm not someone who has been very comfortable with not having control. My job already doesn't give me control on my career because I don't know where it is going. I mean, I'm very happy to take it each day as it comes, but beyond that, there's absolutely no planning that I can make for my career graph. If you ask me, where am I going to be in the next 2 years? I don't know. I have absolutely no clue. And I've made my peace with that. But having said that, I think reaching a point where I have no control over everything is what really scared me. That was mental. In January, um, I think I was climbing the steps of my office. I think we were going up to the terrace. I don't know where we were going for a photo shoot. But I was climbing up the stairs and I climbed one flight of stairs. And I was out of breath, like my heart was beating here. Like I was like, I'm going to die. This is how I die. I don't even get to meet Michelle Obama and I die. That was my thought. And that day when I came back home, the good thing is at that time I used to write my journal and I used to write my gratitude. But that had also gone into कि रटा हुआ था ये चार चीजें लिखनी है ये लिख के सो जाओ ये लिख के सो जाओ. I wasn't paying attention. So when that happened, when I had like mad pain happening here because my heart was beating so fast, I was like, something's not wrong. That was actually the time I actually slowed down and I looked at myself in the mirror. That's the unhappiest, unhealthiest I'd ever looked. That was the worst my skin was. And that was the worst my mental health was. I was all over the place. Again, I wasn't sad. I was ecstatic. I was doing the most exciting things in life. I was shooting and I was traveling and I was meeting Michelle Obama and I was a part of YouTube girl education documentaries. I was traveling left, right, and center everywhere, and I loved that life. So I wasn't sad, but I knew I wasn't healthy mentally. And then in a fortunate and unfortunate way, when lockdown happened in March, and when I was forced to shut everything down and sit in my house, is when I started doing yoga. I started in Jan, but I actually started doing it every single day in March because I realized that if I don't preserve this, I'm going to be able to work for like 5 or 6 years max. And then I'm going to be out of the game. Is why I started working out. Again, my motivation was never to lose weight or look a certain way, but I knew that there is something I have to do. So my body kind of supports this very ambitious mind of mine. So I went into yoga and I went head first, and it has given me so much peace. It gave me perspective. It made me fall in love with wanting to take care of my body and my mind. So I did yoga very religiously for 2 years, till I think the end of 2021. I was, and then slowly I started working with my trainer, and then things were, but those 2 years will always be very instrumental for me because that's where the meditation started. That's where if I was feeling anxious or if I was feeling nervous or if my nerves were all over the place, no matter where I was, I would go and I would lie down on the floor for in shavasana. Like, it's fine, it's fine. And so those are the knickknacks that I tell you. Those are the tricks that I learned because of paying attention inside and kind of working in that, because that is how I learned how to deal with this very stressful, uncertain job of mine. So that is why I am very grateful that I came across that.
Yeah, I can understand, the way you're describing it. I think it described lockdown for a lot of us. And,
Yeah,
like
right? We
running
were
at-
forced
exactly, yeah.
to look within, which I think I wouldn't have done otherwise. I don't think the way I was going, I would slow down till I broke down. I don't think I would have slowed down at all.
Exactly. And yoga people think is just some physical movements and some exercises, but no, it's a lot more than that. It's a way of
Yeah.
living your life. It's a way of looking at the world, looking at yourself. And
Yeah.
very well put again.
Thank you.
So yeah, I can understand. Another question I've always had, for a person you have been very vocal about, body positivity and being comfortable in your own skin. But you're in one of those fields where every time the screen gets bigger, you're judged more. And there's always this idea about how a female should look, how a male should look, how they should portray themselves on the screen. So how do you handle all of those things, like this body shaming, weight shaming, all these things?
Because before I came to a bigger screen, I had put my life out on the internet for a good 6 years. So when it comes to shaming, normally only my skin is a little thicker than most people in the room because I have put myself out there, and I put myself out there when I was very young. So as vulnerable as I was to the shaming, it was also easy for me to get over it. It was also easier for me to have a thicker skin when it came to anything that didn't quite add value or help me grow. Having said that, I must give credit to people I've had the opportunity to collaborate with. For example, Akash, who was our director for Mismatched. Not once was Dimple's appearance even a conversation. Not once was the conversation that maybe she should gain weight, or maybe she should lose weight, or maybe her makeup should be lighter or it should be darker, or maybe her hair can be long. Never. The only prep Akash and I and the writers of Mismatch, Ghazal and her whole team did was work on the character. Dimple was served to me on a platter. I just had to pick her up and put the pieces together. It was extremely easy for me. I was worried about this when I signed Dharma. Again, as an outsider in my head, I was judgmental, and I believed every stereotype there is outside, where I was like, I will never crack the audition because maybe I don't look like a Dharma bride. So when I cracked the audition, I remember meeting Raj, and again, 100 points to Raj, because Rajita, we have shoot in a month. Please don't lose weight. I don't want you to lose weight or gain weight or nothing. Like how you are right now, I need you to look exactly like this. You're perfect for the role. And I didn't do anything to physically transform myself for that role. It was extremely, I also understand when actors are expected to do that, when the characters kind of demand it. But I have been extremely fortunate that I got to work with directors and do characters that kind of just fit. So that has never been a conversation. And that has also given me a lot of confidence. You know, you're great, you're beautiful, you have the perfect, healthy body, and everything's great. But it's another when people in power, people in authority, people who have decision-making power kind of adhere to that and subscribe to that thought. It was very important for me as an actor to have that sort of confidence. So as much credit as I would like to take for it, I think it has to do with the fact that I just happened to work with the most collaborative, amazing, open-minded, realistic directors and writers.
I think that is also the beauty of your characters and your channel, the way people are able to connect. Yes, because it is not something that you feel is unattainable or unreachable or something. It's very relatable. Even Dimple, I feel, it's any other girl in college you see who's very who has a lot of ambitions and is comfortable in her own skin. And that's the beauty of it. And hopefully you don't lose it with time,
Hope I don't lose it with time. Lose what?
The ability to be who you are, ability to be comfortable in your own skin,
I think I'm a, like when it comes, and I'm not saying this to sound modest or forcefully humble. I think I'm a very mediocre content creator, writer, actor. I think what I do best is that I'm very confident. And that a lot of that comes from my body. So I feel like if I lose that, I will become a horrible everything else. So I'm holding on to that with dear life. Don't worry.
Good enough. Yeah. So, like you said, you were describing your routine before COVID, and I had jitters listening to it. You were doing so many things at the same time. And, no matter how much you love your job, after a certain point of time, it starts becoming stressful. You're in that same rut over and over again. And, it starts taking toll on your mental health. People start suffering from burnouts or, sort of early midlife crisis. So, have you ever experienced that, and how did you handle it?
I honestly am not stuck in a rut because, like I said, not one day of my life as a content creator and actor is like another. Like, this is not what I did yesterday, and this is not what I'm going to do tomorrow. I have two very distinct roles to play as a content creator and as an actor. I'm also writing a lot more, so that's a third role. So it keeps me, I can juggle between the three, and it keeps things exciting. Having said that, like I said, burnouts are extremely common, but I've made my peace with it. I know when to take a step back. I know I have started seeing the signs of it much earlier than it does damage, because in the beginning, I would know it when it hit me, where I would break down one day on a call or when I was writing, and I'd hate everything I was doing. And I'd be like, I hate it and I don't like it. And why am I doing this? It's not even fun. Things are not working out. And that I would spiral into nothing useful at that point, honestly. Now I have started seeing the signs much earlier is why 8 out of 10 times I'm able to avoid it. I reach a point where I know how to put a hard stop. I know when to take a step back. I know when to put my foot down. I also know when to push myself, because what happens with burnout is a lot of times when you're trying to be careful, you will kind of give up much earlier than you need to. And that happened a couple of times. And I was like, 1 second, you've not even been hit with it and you've given up already. So I will also push myself. But I have a very healthy dialogue with myself. Every now and then I will sit down in front of the mirror, or I will talk to myself. It's a very healthy and a very constant dialogue, which I depend on a lot, especially when it comes to burnouts.
No, that's good, because, I see so many people these days, and, your life was very dynamic. But most people nowadays, the job that we have, it's same kind of life every day. And that after some time, you start noticing you don't hate your job. You're just more irritable because you have not taken a good break. Because you
Yeah.
have not learned to say no sometimes. You have not learned to, give
Yeah.
yourself that space to feel things, So
Yeah.
that's, yeah. So
I think
like,
another thing that has really helped me is learning that as personal and involving as my job is, or as passionate as I am about it, it is still a part of my life. It's still my job. I still have to get up every day, because it comes as I just happen to be in a place where I get to do what I love doing. So not one day feels like, oh, why am I doing this? But I think it took me some time, because I'm very dramatic. I'm very romantic in my head, where I was like, no, it's not your job. It's your life and it's your passion, and you get to do this. And then I realized, I said, yeah, but it's also a part of my life. It's a job. I also have a life with my friends. I have a life with my family. I have a life with my partner. And all those are also as important as my life is at work. It took me very, very long, especially the last 2, 3 years have been very instrumental for me in understanding that. But the minute you draw that very fine but definite line, I think things just become easier for you.
yeah, and that's very true. Thank you for putting it out there. Somehow we are taught when we are children, no, study, 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 this has to become your life. Everything, no, we start streamlining things. It's like a
Yeah.
vision becomes very tunnel kind. We
Yeah.
don't realize that, it has to be very holistic. And
Yeah.
work-life balance is it's important. It's a reality. It's not a myth. And
Yeah.
I feel like,
Also,
yeah,
it's much easier than most people think it is, huh?
that's very true. It's very
इतना
true.
हवा बना के रखा है work life balance का, and I am no one to say honestly. I mean, I'll not at all speak from a place of कि अरे तुमको कुछ नहीं आता है. I'll speak from a place of personal experience. I might be the least experienced person in the room, but I just feel like, if, like you said, if you look at it not as one track but 4 different tracks in your life, I think it's just easier. And you have to do it for yourself. Nobody's going to do it for you. So it's important that, I mean, it's one thing to sit and crib about not having balance. It's another actually reflecting and finding out what exactly is going out. And it's easier said than done, but it's not undoable. Like I have so many friends cribbing about it, and I'm like another thing I don't understand is, oh God, like social media is so toxic. I need a detox. I'm like, why did you push yourself to a point where you needed a detox? You took your phone and you scrolled. You were in charge. Why have you pushed yourself? Don't you know better? So it's very strange for me to understand people who don't exercise any kind of control and then blame the platforms or blame everything else for issues they're having. I'm like, don't the internet, that's my home. Where everything can be fine. You surf the platforms. Don't let the platforms surf you, and you'll be fine. So as long as you are aware, you can't give up on responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
And then that's very true, like there has to be some action that has to come from within you. Excess of anything is bad. Excess
Yeah.
of even good food is bad. So
Yeah.
why social media should be
Yeah.
out of that scenario? And that's just something. If you feel somebody is toxic, or if you feel somebody is affecting your mental health, there's always a dislike button. There's always an unfollow button.
Yeah, don't watch.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people I am muting and restricting left, right, and center on my Instagram every single day is great, because I don't care. It's not my labor to change your life and your perspective towards things. If you don't add any value, if you don't help me grow, if you don't criticize me in a way that will help me do better, and I don't need you. I'm sorry. It's
That's
a
very
very
true.
long race, you know. It's a long journey. You might as well have likable people around you.
Very true. You should be selective about friends or about the people you interact with as much
Yeah.
as selective about your clothes or about your looks and everything.
Yeah.
That is where it comes from. So another thing, since you have been very vocal about mental health, I see so many young people, that are reluctant to come to a psychiatrist or a therapist because there's a lot of stigma and a lot of taboo about mental health, especially in a country like India. So, any specific messages for them? Because, come from a position where you're a youth icon, I think you will be able to help them out better. Anything that you would like to tell them, any message for them?
Wow. Other than everything we have spoken about as to how, like I said, I'm just very glad that there's conversation happening. I think and that comes with a lot of issues that we are dealing with right now. That comes with talking about climate change, that comes with talking about mental health, that comes with talking about inclusivity, gender equality. I feel like one of our bigger shortcomings as a country with a huge chunk of younger people is that we were not having conversations about. Nobody was speaking up about it. These were all conversations that were happening inside doctor offices, inside psychology conferences, inside climate change conferences. So now the fact that the internet has opened it up to a more fluid conversation and exchange of opinions is great. For someone who's unwilling to or feeling awkward to seek out help for mental health, go for therapy. I just feel like make yourself comfortable. Again, I just speak this from experience that I've had with my friends. I have not been to therapy myself yet, but this is just experience I've had with my friends, where I think knowing what you're getting into helps. You have the internet on your phone, just Google what therapy is, know what happens, how does it work. um I met a couple of people who didn't know that when you talk to your therapist, that doesn't leave the therapist's office. A lot of times there was trauma that they were ashamed to speak about, and they were like, I can't speak about this to any other person because they're going to judge me. So I think understanding what happens in a therapist's office, understanding what your options are, if you are afford to pay for it, what's the pay scale, how does it work, how many hours are you supposed to sit. If you can't afford to pay for it, there are organizations and government services that are helping with free therapy. Do you want to do it in person? Do you want to do it on the phone? Do you want to do it on chat? I think just being aware and knowing what you're getting into might ease the nerves a little bit. Uske baad also, if you feel like you're not comfortable with it, then maybe talk to a friend about it. Maybe someone who goes to therapy, or someone like you who knows what it is like. Someone, or maybe just go and talk to your family doctor. Maybe they will have something. So I just feel like the minute you hit a block with something because you don't understand it or you are not sure how it is, I think the lack of information is also what gets the nerves going. So maybe just try to get as much information on that as you can, and then see how you feel. Most times than not, you'll be comfortable to do it. And if not, give yourself some more time, and then maybe let yourself feel comfortable before you go for something like that. Again, all of this comes from only conversation I've had with my friends. This is not a first-hand experience I've had. So yeah.
Those are some very good tips that you have shared. And using this platform, I would also like to add something.
Yes.
One thing that I feel is that people know if there is a headache or there is something like a cough, you're not reluctant to go to a doctor, right? You go there and you get medicines and you seek help. But as soon as it comes about something which is associated with your mood or your mind, somehow there's this block that happens, because you've been told right from the very beginning, it'll become okay, don't talk about it, you're not supposed to feel weak in front of people. And all those things also are a barrier when it comes to people coming. And I feel very fortunate when patients come to me and talk about it, because it's very difficult talking about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
In one of our first year exercises where we were supposed to be the patient and talk like a patient to somebody else.
Okay.
And the question that was basically asked was, how are you feeling? And it was so difficult just going from there.
Yeah.
And that is why I feel very fortunate when people come. And I would like to, say that it's okay to come, it's okay to seek help. Your mental health is as important as your physical health.
Yeah.
And
And I also feel like if you're a younger person on the internet, And if you have access to all this information that can help ease your nerves or your thoughts around therapy and mental health, I really think you should also share this with your family. If you have access to this information, whether or not your family is going through something, I just feel like it should, if it starts now, maybe a few years down the line, it will become as common a conversation in the house as we would like for it to be, so that it normalizes. I mean, it's a small step, but I think every time, like sharing articles or sharing success stories, positive stories about it, I think just starting at home is also very important when it comes to conversations around mental health. And then the other way around, where I'm now at an age where I have friends who are going to become parents, so, which is very exciting. And one of the conversations that a friend of mine who is due in a few months we were having was, I remember telling her about how important. So it started from a place of, what if I don't, what if I'm not a great mother, and how do I do this? And I was like, just talk to your child about everything. And I'm the last person to comment on parenting, but as a child of two parents who have helped me grow tremendously and made me extremely mentally healthy because of the way that they have raised me, I just feel like as long as the conversation is fluid around all kinds of health, physical, mental, inside the confines of your home, I think we've made progress.
That's very true, Open communication in any kind of relation, it makes things better.
Yeah.
And yeah, very nicely put. Another, one question for like you. Like after COVID, no, even before COVID also, many celebrities came out and they started talking about their own mental health journey, whether it was depression or whether it was addiction, and all these things that came up. And when such things happen, no, it helps people talk about things, it gets the conversation going. So how important do you think such conversations are when we talk about India, and how to integrate more of this in normal life, like talking to your parents about
I've
it?
said this for years now, that I genuinely believe conversations can end wars. It can solve world problems if people would just put down the weapons and sit down and have a conversation, a productive one. I really, really think that a huge chunk of our issues can be solved. I've always been a subscriber of conversations, and that's exactly what I mean when I say that the fact that the internet has given a place for people to speak, people to share opinions, good or bad, people to influence people in a good or bad way, I think is extremely powerful and about time. I think where we were lacking as young people in a country were like there was no awareness because of the lack of conversation. So I'm very happy about people who are, and it takes a lot of guts, let's be serious. It's one thing to be like, I want to use my 5 million followers to do good, but it's actually to share all your layers and share your journey with depression or share your journey with addiction or disorders, especially when you are in such a delicate space yourself mentally. So I think kudos to everyone who does it. We are very grateful to you. You make jobs for creators like me and other people who feel passionately about mental health very easy when we have examples like that. So yeah.
Yeah, very true. Very nicely put. Again, yeah. Yeah, it's true, when celebrities talk about it, it gets normalized. And once it gets normalized, it becomes a dinner table conversation. And that is what we want.
Yeah.
Like you discuss about your other problems, your stomach ache and everything, start talking about how you're feeling also.
Yeah.
Finally, not taking much of your time. Any final words of wisdom that you live by or you would like to share with the youth in general,
Wisdom, I don't know, but a few words, I think, a few things that continue to help me um, uh, in my journey in life every day. I think gratitude has a huge impact. Saying your gratitude, saying your affirmations, saying it out to yourself, saying it out to the universe, just putting it out there constantly, giving yourself credit where it's due, because a lot of times we fail to do that. Can be a part of your gratitude as well, is very, very important. It has gotten me through extremely tough situations. I think surrounding yourself with people who help you grow. And by that, I don't mean only as in your career or only as, anything linear. I just feel like having people who add value, having people, and that value could even be just joy. Value could even be just someone who shares the same pain that you've shared. The value could also be someone whose presence just makes you feel inspired, better. And you will always know when you grow older, the more time you spend with people, you can always tell people apart. Surrounding yourself with the right team, having healthy conversation with people. I think I am everything that I am because of the people in my life. If I was by myself in any of these spheres, I would be lacking massively. And number 3, I think one of the things that takes the longest for us to kind of learn is how to really obsessively in love with yourself. You know, it takes a really long time. I'm going to be 30, and I think it took me a good 27, 28 years to kind of get there. As happy and confident and ambitious as a child I was, it wasn't until about a couple years ago that I realized that, oh my God, now is when I'm my biggest fan. I am obsessively in love with myself, and I will do everything and anything to protect my peace. So yeah, I think these 3 things, as long as you keep in mind, you'll be, I mean, it has helped me, so might just help you.
And yeah, that's actually very true. All these things that you have shared, they're actually some of the first tips that we also share when it comes to therapy.
Are you
Practicing
saying that I could be a final year MD psychiatrist student in NIMHANS if I had tried hard enough?
You could be
I
a
could have
psychiatrist.
just.
Yeah, but the idea being that the tips that you're sharing, they actually help a lot. And most of us also practice this, whether it is gratitude, whether it is understanding our shortcomings, our
Also knowing that self-love is not easy, huh?
Very true.
Taking care of yourself is not easy. If you think that you're going to wake up every day like, la la, life is great, I'm healthy and everything's good. It's hard work, and be willing to put in that energy and time, even on days when your mind tells you, ki chhodna. And this is again another lesson that I've learned, that self-love is not easy. It's extremely tough work.
It's very difficult accepting all your flaws, accepting your shortcomings, accepting your strengths, and then working on your shortcomings, and then ensuring that your strengths are always there with you and you enhance that. That is what self-love actually is. It's not, people think it's just appreciating all the good you have and putting a cloth over the bad things, and then that is self-love. No, it's not. And that is why it takes so many
drawing
years.
healthy boundaries. It's also protecting your peace. It's also saying no when you need to say no, putting your foot down, but also taking a step back when you're wrong. I think it's just everything you do to make sure that you go to bed happy and content.
That's very true. That's very true. And thank you so much, Prajakta, for being there. This was a very nice chat we had. And
thank you.
People, when they see it, they are inspired, they are influenced. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know.
I hope.
Exactly. That is all we have. It's hope. Right?
Lovely. Thank you so much. This was lovely. And I hope I get to see you soon.
Sure, man. If you want, because you're the celebrity here and just a final year resident.
Oh, wow. No, let's just not go there. Final year resident is way too many words for you to say just before. It's fine.
Yeah. But I would like to invite Hemant sir here. I think, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, Prajakta.
Bye-bye.
So, Prajakta ji, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
हम
much.
बहुत आभारी हैं, आपने अपने कीमती समय से हमारे लिए ये टाइम दिया है, और मुझे आप दोनों का कन्वर्सेशन सुन करके इतना अच्छा लगा. मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कोई भी यूथ जब इस इंटरव्यू को सुनेगा, it will immensely help the youth in getting some insight into major issues that they may be going through. So फिर से
थैंक यू सो मच. Also मैं बोलना चाहती हूँ कि एज अ क्रिएटर हम बहुत आभारी है कि bigger organizations like you all are actually taking time out to come out of just all your work, which is confined to everything that you're doing, and doing conversations ahead and beyond of what would happen technically, which would stay inside your campus. So we're very glad that someone like me, who would otherwise never be allowed to be on your campus because I have absolutely no qualification, gets to, interact with someone like you or someone like Asta, who's actually doing work um, uh, which is effective and has impact. So I think it's very important for us also to have this exposure, and you've given me that opportunity, so I appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing joy to so many.
Thank you. And I will see you soon, hopefully.
Yes. I look forward to meeting you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.